Bueno, el año pasado
Last year we did
un vídeo, se grabó un vídeo
we made a video
del grupo Pachamama,
of the group
un
Pachamama,
grupo de rap
which is a rap group
de hijos de inmigrantes que viven
of sons
en
of
Madrid.
immigrants living in Madrid.
Y entonces ellos, a raíz de
As a
estar
result,
aquí
from being here
en Tierra del Maíz Sociedad,
in
conocieron a
Earth Soul
Bandana, hicieron
Society,
una
they met
canción,
Bandana and they made a song
para hablar, para comunicar
to speak
lo que está
about
pasando
and
con las semillas en el
communicate
mundo
what is
y lo
happening
que
with
está
seeds in the world
pasando con los campesinos
and
de
what
la
is
India,
happening with
sobre los
farmers in
suicidios.
India
Como
about the
nos
suicide.
decía Bandana,
Bandana was telling us today
12 años,
about
200.000
how in the
campesinos
last
se han suicidado.
10-12 years, 200,000 farmers have committed suicide. So it's a very serious issue. Seeds is not a business, it's a right.
No puede ser un negocio.
It cannot be a business, it's a need.
Monsanto y unas cuantas multinacionales
And
más
Monsanto
quieren
and a few other multinational
las
companies
semillas
want to turn
en
seeds
un negocio.
into a business.
Entonces,
So
ellos han hecho este videoclip
they have made this
que
video,
grabaron con un mensaje de
which they
Bandana, y
recorded
este
with
es
a
el
message
resultado.
by Vandana, and this is the result.
Bueno, hay un pequeño error, sí.
There is a little
En una
error
traducción en castellano
in
en los subtítulos,
one of
pero
the
bueno, el mensaje
translation of the
se verá.
subtitles in Spanish, but
De todas formas, lo que es importante
in any
es
case,
que
what is important
recalcar es que
is to
la
underline
juventud, la gente
that
joven
youth,
no conoce el problema. Bueno, la gente joven,
young
mucha gente
people and many other people are not aware of the problem of the seeds.
Entonces, yo creo que este videoclip
And I think that this video is going to be and is going to have a very big impact because it's going to be seen on a national scale and over the web. So we've asked Vandana today if she could make a text to accompany these images to reach young people so that they understand what is really happening, the real drama of the patenting and manipulation of seeds. Go ahead.
La cosecha, como ella la creó, y no como sus avariciosos hijos quieren que sea. Entre todos los hermanos la estamos destruyendo y nos estamos matando entre nosotros. Es el momento de que hacemos la voz contra la injusticia. Yo soy un campesino niño, aquí estoy, al borde de suicidio, porque hoy son días de castigo, me robaron todo lo que trabajé para mis hijos. En mi camino, en mi destino, no sé, pero mi vida ya no tiene sentido. Asesinos de la vida son asesinos, porque me vienen a destruirnos. Ellos tienen la plata, creen tener poder, ellos no tienen nada, querían tener poder. Solo la Pachamama tiene ese gran poder, son de un loco y está todo ver. Ellos tienen la plata, creen tener poder, ellos no tienen nada, querían tener poder. Solo la Pachamama tiene ese gran poder, son de un loco y está todo ver.
an update of the whole gathering. The first question was, what Mallorca do we imagine, conceive for 2015? And we found it quite hard to imagine Mallorca in 2015 following the rhythm that we have now in Mallorca in 2008. So firstly, we were thinking of a Mallorca that is working with teaching about limits and self-sufficiency. For this, it was discussed, we discussed the need of breaking dependency to create an economy completely dependent on itself, with resource and independent of resources coming from the outside. With this aim, we would be able to construct a new economy, much more diverse than the one we have at the moment. It could be a source of a creation of new jobs and a way of getting away from tourist dependency. And the island, as we imagine it now, would be an island moving away from the degradation we see now. Also an island where this combination of cultures all could live together harmoniously and joining all the cultures that we have here together, sharing the same space and recuperating and fostering and encouraging the culture of slowness as a main objective. How would we do this? Many ideas came up. One of them has been repeated, the idea of the celebration of Mediterraneanness. So we have to bear in mind all the systemic forces and regulations for the structural powers, be they political or business. To carry all this forward, we have talked about the creation of a research center, sustainability research center. Everybody has agreed that Mallorca has a huge potential to be an experimental laboratory, to experiment a new economy and a new society, a new model of society. This could be, at the same time, a way of attracting a new tourism and to celebrate the Mediterranean essence. Moreover, also, to achieve all this, we've proposed to establish a way of gaining the most richness, as well as the bailout of the banks, so that one part of it goes towards projects, towards the community, ecologically viable. Finally, the limitation of the times the airport is being in use, that it should be limited at night time. The way in Venice it's been talked about limiting the number of tourists, we think that this could also be implemented here, a limit on the number of tourists. And finally, we've talked about looking at constructing a land with some basic wages to reconvert a whole mass of people working in construction and the tourism hotel business, so that we can move towards other sectors which we could achieve if we reduce dependency and we impulsed all these complementary activities.
we did a round first of everyone's sort of dream of the future, what they could imagine. And the results were quite diverse, as I understand it was in the first group. Some of them were very personal, but there was kind of a theme that emerged around the issues of education for sustainability and communication for sustainability. And so we took that as a starting point and asked them the second round, how could we imagine doing something concrete to achieve this? What steps could we take? And in this next round, Sibylla, where are you, Sibylla?
There.
She said that she would very much like to host a 4-week meeting of the Eco-Village Design Education as developed by Gaia Education at her place up in Dea. And the group all thought that was an excellent idea and gave her backing around this. And the purpose of this education would be, well, twofold. One is just to raise general awareness about sustainability issues for anyone who may be interested on the island. And secondly, to introduce to the people who may be thinking about doing something more concretely, for example, perhaps creating an eco-village or a network of some kind, to get some more information about these experiences elsewhere, and also particular tools that they could use to work with. So this educational program is a sort of thing which could be a next step where this group perhaps and others could perhaps congregate and try to define where we want to go from here, based on a sort of a higher level of knowledge about sustainability tools. And I might mention in this connection that Andres Martinez, he mentioned that he had a place also in Palma, which might be well suited to have a promotional event to raise awareness about the course and attract a lot of people. And Leo Bassi, without making any firm commitment, said that he would certainly consider participating and helping out either at the promotion event or at the course itself. But he would like to just study the material a little more closely first. So we hope that that will be the result. And this course possibly could be held already next summer. The dates are not fixed yet. So that was the very concrete result from our group.
Very concrete, yeah.
And we also then raised the question, what about the organization? Are there people in our group that would like to actively participate in planning? And there were 3 that put their names forward. Sibylla, Andreas, where are you? Andreas Martinez? He's not here?
There.
Yes, okay, you're here. And Tony, Marine? He left, okay. And this raises an interesting question also, which I'll put out to the group to discuss. Because of the nature of the very concrete project, we didn't feel it was our place to discuss organization as regards the other groups. But we would certainly like to invite anyone else from any of the other groups to join this committee for this particular event. But also I would like you to think about whether there is a need for establishing other committees or groups from the other groups, or whether maybe enlarging this with perhaps a broader vision or goals than this particular one project. So I'll just throw that out for further discussion, that idea. Now I'd just like to ask Hilda.
Within the group, we were able to see and listen to Herbert in a fantastic presentation about the different initiatives which are possible within the possibility of developing renewable energies in a city, in a community, and from there we defined where we want to get to in 3 main factors, and also for each one of these we defined a little bit, we tried to reach an agreement on how we were going to get there. The three main factors are related in the first place to energy efficiency, as the island has a very important lack in this sense, which has to be confronted responsibly and with very concise projects. In second place is the issue of the cable, which is being intended to be built to bring energy from the mainland. We know that installing the gas installation has already started, but not the energy cable, not yet. The third phase, the third point we would like to reach to is related to transport, to be able to count with a much more user-friendly transport system for the island and population, and a much cleaner. How? We talked about various examples. Several initiatives were presented, amongst which we can underline for energy efficiency. We should be able to generate projects that integrate renewable energies, such as placing solar panels on the roof of the airport, because we're very aware of, and it's very important that the authorities take and have the first initiative in the whole issue, that they be the first in showing and generating this type of project, so that then the community can follow. So how is based on the fact of making a proposal to the local authorities, concise projects which are destined at obtaining increased energy efficiency. When about the cable, it's the same issue. We want to propose an alternative plan to the local authorities that is capable of supplementing the construction of this cable with everything that goes along with it. Finally, the transport issue. Once again, it is about working and promoting and presenting initiatives that allow the optimization of public transport in a cleaner way, with better management of the available resources, and also to encourage people and the community to make a change, going from conventional cars to electrical cars, making incentives with taxes and many other mechanisms which are available for that. I don't know if any of the companions of the group would like to add anything. Thank you very much.
Well, just maybe add the point that, of course, wind power is a very, very major element in a sustainable energy system where wind blows, and we all know that the island has a lot of wind resources. And the critical issue is how one can dramatically, and really this is the emphasis, dramatically increase the introduction of renewable energy on an island that is so utterly dependent on fossil fuels. And certainly the question of competition of investment in cables and gas pipelines as compared with renewable energy needs to be highlighted in a public discussion on these issues in ways that I think hasn't happened to anything like the extent that is necessary, given also the absolute urgency of climate change as a driver for change towards a dramatic and very rapid increase in renewable energy that is clearly necessary everywhere, and particularly also in an island such as Mallorca.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So the first thing that came out in this group is the local context is very, very important. There is a cultural context, a linguistic context, very concrete on this island, and it has to be underlining everything that is being done. It must be taken into account, the diversity of the island, culturally and linguistically. Everything that makes you Mallorcan has got to be underlining, underpinning anything that can be done. So within this context that we find ourselves, the things that have arisen, what we want to see in Mallorca in 2015 on an agricultural level is an organic island, in which all the production is organic, and that it be available to all the people, that there is and easy access for people so that they can go shopping and obtain and feed themselves. In that sense, it is very important. The autonomous elements of the region, the different trees and fruits that are not being properly used at the moment. Food sovereignty is vital, and it has been questioned whether the islands can be self-sufficient on a food level. This is not possible following the industrial model, the model that we are sold, but it could happen with a varied model, autonomous, in which many small elements that are already there be strengthened, and that those trees and local varieties be strengthened. It's all together with a small agricultural model adapted to the small plots of land available to people, then it would be possible to be self-sufficient in terms of food. And that's a very achievable, realistic aim for 2015. The comment that we need food democracy. We also want our rights and to be able to have the right to know what we're eating, to have the freedom to choose and to take part in this food process, and a right to eat above all. We have to change the vision of the earth. This is a key point that José spoke about. Right now, the earth is seen as a speculative good, and the change for 2015 would be that it be seen as an agrarian good, so that it always be of prime importance, agrarian interest over the construction. For this, we have to change the legislation. And we have to plan. That would be the way of reaching this aim. So, by changing the priority from land for cultivation, then we also change the laws and the land becomes a public good. That is what you want to see. On the other hand, one very specific petition was to define how many farmers do we want to see. So ask yourself this: how many farmers do you want to see? That people no longer consider that working on a computer is much more fun than working on the land. In 2015, that really we want people to want to be going to work on the land, leaving their desks and their computers. And for this, facilitate and help people that are already doing this and are not having a good time. Let's help them and give them plenty of support. This is a very urgent need. If not, we can't aspire and expect that by 2015 we reach this situation. Another key vital point that José gave us and inspired us greatly, both Vandana and José have been all fire. One very important thing is to be very aware and very clear about what is defined as a productive, constructive program. It's called like this, nothing anti-something, but something positive. Let's define the constructive program for sustainable agriculture on the island. And this consists in knowing what you have already in front of you, that you no longer want, that you want to substitute, replace, and what do you want, and what are you going to substitute or replace it for. And it's very important to define this. So the thing would be that by 2015 we have this very clear and integrated. For this, we're given a tool by José, which is a fantastic tool. It's slogans. We need slogans which encompass many different concepts so that people don't think, this doesn't go with me, it doesn't cover my needs. On an agrarian level we're speaking about. José has proposed one which I think is very good, which is, let's not eat from the supermarket, but let's eat from the fields, eat from the land. slogans can be spread very quickly, very fast, like fire. So it's a very effective tool. In that sense, we would like to carry out concrete actions to foster these slogans as a flag. In that sense, we have spoken about concrete actions. One, for example, a very good one, suggested by Vandana, is in supermarkets. Why today organic food is more expensive than supermarket food? What is the reason for this? Because in supermarkets we don't pay the real price of things. Every time we go shopping and we buy a product in the supermarket, we're buying a product which is oppressive. And it's very important that people understand this. In order for them to understand it, what can be better than direct action in the supermarkets, with a slogan behind us saying 3 or 4 specific products. This product that you're going to buy costs so much, but the real cost is these lives, these people, this water, these fuels, these emissions. So let's take direct action in supermarkets, always specific, of course, non-violent. Another direct action, very important, would be a land bank. It was spoken of talking about approaching foreigners who have bought land here and made it into garden that is not producing food, and saying, this is the change that we want. Do you agree? I think most of them would, and try and ask them to give us some of this land. So this could be one of the groups to approach, to obtain some land which could be distributed and managed by an institution, something elected and managed by the people, to define the ways of distributing this land and working it in a rotatory system, for example.
Yeah? Okay.
Seed bank. Very important, seed bank.
Sorry, it's a lot.
Seed bank. There is the European law, explained to us by Vandana. Basically, it is about government, well, multinational companies are patenting seeds and they are using governments to oblige farmers to enter the system. You have to plant seeds which are in the register. If they're not registered, you're not allowed to plant them. Local seeds are not in that register, they are detained. So we need to create an autochthonous seed bank and do a seed exchange amongst people. This is civil disobedience. Jose, for example, is going to go on the 27th of October to see the mayor of Paris to give him some seeds and make him a participant of this civil disobedience. So a direct action, fairly strong. We all have also almost convinced him to jump over here to Mallorca every now and then for concrete action. So Jose would be available and happy to come over if you plan any concrete actions such as these. Hello, I'm going to talk in Spanish. One of the concise, specific proposals is Son Ruyan. It's a home up in the mountains that we're turning into a school. Moreover, we're hoping to be able to start the education program of the eco-schools. Tony Marin told me over 10 years ago, where we started to develop the first permaculture courses created on the island, he talked about that with a curriculum that they're teaching, took him 20 years to learn, can actually be learned in 20 days. That's why we consider it one of the most important steps to be taken first. We also have the project of setting up the arts and crafts school, because many traditions are being lost. The cooking school in cooperation with Slow Food, and also hopefully with the help of Jane Hera, we will do some courses on vision building to help us draw up future utopian ideas. And I hope it's a place open to all, where we can take a little step forward. Thank you.
First thing I want to say is that when I arrived yesterday, I really didn't know where I was coming. And so I found it very interesting because I didn't imagine that this kind of meeting could happen. So I think this is very interesting, and I'd be happy to be here during these days. And of course, if new things are going on in the future, well, I could try to come and to stay with you for going the next steps. I would be happy to participate to the next step. And of course, if the next steps is also in the action, it will be marvelous. When I think, which is, this is off now. Okay, so everything is off. Yeah. So, okay. So we have to finish because everything is off. So, the second thing I want to say is that very often when we begin such a movement, it's difficult to think that this movement could change the world. But sometimes you are in a special place, in a little place, and what you do there can change for all of us. Not only for people from Mallorca, but for all the other places in the world. It could be a symbol of what can be done. So with a little island, you can change the world. You have to be sure of that. And that's why, because people are going to look at what you're going to do. And if you are able to go on years after years to put on what you want to do for 2015, this could be really a laboratorium to change the world. So I think that this is a very important moment. We're living together, and I hope that maybe we could put on the Mallorcan flag. I saw this Mallorcan flag, which is quite, I'm not sure it's the one I would prefer, but we could maybe, like in India, put next time a wheel on it in 2015, the wheel that you have also, and this could be the symbol of all the countries we are changing. We put a wheel inside. Thank you.
Very good. Yeah. When Vandana is just saying that in Buddhist terminology, we call it the wheel of Dharma. So the Buddha turned the wheel of Dharma. The Dharma is the right way. So wonderful symbol. Thank you. Herbie.
Well, I feel slightly drunk. Drunk with all the possibilities.
Have you got a microphone?
Yeah, I think I have two, actually. This is, I think it does. Monopoly, maybe. Yeah, so I feel drunk with possibilities that have emerged here in the last couple of days, and astounded by the positive spirit that I've experienced here. It was wonderful to be introduced into the processes that we've been discussing by looking at this document, Mallorca Awake 2015. Now, I think probably I'd say we need to slightly rename it and say Mallorca 2008, because we are living in an urgent situation in the world at this moment in time. We're talking about climate change, we're talking about a financial crisis, but we're also talking about what can emerge in terms of another world that is possible, that can emerge out of this. And that, I think, we have explored in a beautiful way. But we do now need to have a bit of a reality check in terms of what people can actually become. People who are currently computer programmers, will they all want to become farmers or not? People who are currently tourists, will they want to stay away or not? And can we find a way of integrating the people who are still going to carry on visiting this island in the years to come with the wishes and the desire and deep concern about sustainability that we've heard about so much in the last couple of days. This, for me, is a critical issue that we need an answer to. It is wonderful to look at opportunities when crises are emerging in the world around us. But we really need to make sure that the steps that we are proposing here can actually be plausible also to the people of the island itself who are not in this meeting. Because there's only 100 people in this meeting. So the million people or so who live on this island really need to be able to identify with what is being proposed here. So this is, I think, very important. From this emerges the need to come up not only just with a manifesto, but one that is rich in participation of the people of this island. I only heard about 2 people putting up their hand and wanting to participate in a manifesto, even in a room of 100 people here. So how many people on this island will want to see a different vision? And I think that really needs to be looked at very, very carefully indeed, because ultimately one needs to engage in the political process. The reconfiguration of the economy of the island needs to be in unison with people who live here, and as well with people who have settled here, because that is certainly can potentially a force for good. We've talked about the possibility of a fund, and certainly a fund that can spread the ideas and further elaborate the ideas that have emerged here needs to be created in order to make sure that these are not just words that end up, when we all leave here, are forgotten very quickly. So it's very, very important to enrich all of what we've discussed with the reality of the possibility in which we are at the present time, and to assure that real action follows from this. So thank you very much for inviting me and allowing me to participate.
Yeah, it's been a very creative day, and I think the two big issues that emerge from today is, while the challenge for Mallorca is to root its transition locally, the challenge is simultaneously to link that transition to what's happening in other places, because of 2 factors. One, it creates a multiplier effect, and 2, one doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. Very often movements beginning in one place have already been shaped and strengthened in other places. A lot of learning can happen. And I think the other issue that was raised by Jose is, to move from here to there, the constructive actions that make that happen are simultaneously sources of energy to resist this. The energy that comes in building an alternative and having a clear action plan for constructive alternatives is the ground from where resistance also happens. And that's what we've done with Navdanya, where by saving seeds in farmers' hands, we've had the possibility to say no to compulsory registration and licensing of seed. We've been able to say no to patenting. We've been able to say no to GMOs. But you can't say no if you don't have ground to stand on. And to shape the ground on which you stand, I think is the main challenge. Now, on reinventing the wheel, I'd just like to say, very often when we focus on action, we forget principles. But principles is what we share universally. We might not have the same crops everywhere, but everywhere we share the principle that seed is a commons. So those principles, I think, have been articulated so much, and why there's this issue of a particular manifesto for Mallorca in 2015 is shaped. I'd just like to mention there are 3 manifestos drafted by an international commission on the future of food, out of which emerged Terra Madre and this great peasant gathering that happens in Turin next week. One is on the future of food, the other is on the future of seed, and the third is on the future of food security in times of climate chaos. And I can make sure these are emailed and distributed to all of you, but I can also at some point send you the website. It's actually the Government of Tuscany's website. And because this came out of distilling the best experiences and the principles that have worked elsewhere. And while people were talking about the land and rejuvenating the countryside and repopulating the countryside, I realized actually We've had a meeting like this in Italy with the peasants who have got a bit fed up of constantly being, treated as an underclass. And Gianozzo, who is an amazing man, he's actually the royalty of Tuscany, but is a peasant in life. And we drafted something called the Charter for the Renaissance of the Countryside. And it's very, very powerful, because it's that positive vision that the countryside has to be the future. We've had a history that industry and urban areas were the center of civilization. And I think the vision has to be the center of civilization, has to be the countryside, supporting centers that are urban, supporting other activities. But the heart will have to be the country. And that, with that confidence, if we move forward, of course in Mallorca, but linking. Because out of linkage comes a different kind of strength.
Thank you.
And I would also like to be included in future activities. So thanks to everyone. And also, it's run so smoothly. I think we don't always, well, we have, but I'd like just to repeat the interpreters, the people in the kitchen, the people who are making everything work, and we are just, all we have to do is sit here and think and talk. Yeah. So that they've been splendid. I want to be very concrete. In a few words, a manifesto, absolutely, but also a few people get together and write a mission statement, which is short and can be used universally on the island, whether it's with business, politicians, farmers, or whatever social group. A series of brainstorms that have come out of the affinity groups here. A brainstorm on what would be the content of the Center of Environmental Excellence, both in science, in technology, in social initiatives, in all the different areas, because that's one idea that we felt ought to be constructed here and could be a model for other Mediterranean islands. Research on the baseline, where you are now, finance that research so that you know where you're starting from, particularly the land tenure system, those kinds of things that are unknown and indeed kept secret. A brainstorm on the next concrete actions in each of the groups on how to attract the politicians and the business people who will agree with this and will want to be part of Green Mallorca, and how to convert or coerce, if necessary, those who don't want to be part of this. What actions does one take when the obstacles begin to present themselves, as they will? Collect knowledge from old people on what their memories are and what it was like, and publish that. Name a good representative committee to award green awards, Green Mallorca awards, to people who are behaving properly and changing things, movers and shakers. Write another verse to your beautiful song. Maybe that's a green verse to your beautiful anthem that you sang for us. I don't know. Surely you have poets and can do that. And of course, the main thing, build alliances. And also think about how all these things can be financed, because we, or not financed if they can't, but we have to think about where what the French call the nerve of the confrontation, the nerve of war is going to come from. And always be also aware also that you may have to confront and even defy European Union policy, so you have to keep aware of that. But I would just like to add to what José said about, yes, a small place can change the world. You know, this is what is happening in all the sciences now. I can't even remember if I said this before, but it's all the sciences, in physics, in biology, in chemistry, in every science, they are studying systems, and they are discovering that the same things happen in large or small systems. And that is, at some point, there is an input. You cannot predict what the input is going to be. You cannot predict the moment at which that input is going to come, but it is the time when the whole system reconfigures itself. And that is something that helps me to keep going, because sometimes what we're trying to do is so long-term we don't know if it's going to have an impact. But everything that every person and every group in this room does can become that point that provokes the self-organized criticality that scientists talk about and configures the new system. And this works for human systems as well as physical, biological, and chemical ones. So that's my last word. Thank you.
Thank you.
If we are going to achieve the goals of the 2015, there's going to have to be a lot of communication and education of the entire island. And that is going to be a great task. And where are the teachers going to come from? They're going to come from the people who are here today and your colleagues. And therefore, I want to recommend very highly that you all engage in one or another course in education in sustainability. And there are three options which are being made available by the Gaia Education Group. One is a question of self-study. If you go to the GaiaEducation.org site, there is a roughly 70-page curriculum in Spanish as well as English, which you can study with lots of references, and it's been put together by leading experts from all around the world over a period of 10 years. And it's, as Tony Marion was mentioning, 20 years of his experience is condensed into a very short, concrete curriculum now, which can be learned very quickly. The second option, and there's still time, is if you would like to participate in the online education at the Open University of Catalonia, which is starting up in the first week of November. There's still time, and information on that is available on the same website, GaiaEducation.org. It costs €800 for the 8-month education. And finally, I'm very happy that Sibylla offered to sponsor a 4-week course here on the island next summer on the equabilities design education, and that is the third possible option. And I would certainly hope that many of you would meet again at that time and take that education and become teachers. Become teachers, and so the next time around you can hold these courses for other people, for your friends, for the mainstream, for everybody. And so that would be my message, and I hope very much that, that you will follow up on that. Thank you.
I'm very grateful to all of you that I came here, and I'm very honored to have met all of you and learned from you how this can be done, because I think it worked well. And this can be replicated in so many areas of the earth, and I'm sure that I would like to be part of doing that. And I learned a lot, and I think that one thing that I would ask for is that the group find a name for this kind of process. I don't think that transition island would be the right concept. The only thing I can think of, but I don't think that it necessarily would be the ideal one, would be like Living Earth Mallorca. It needs to have this quality of oneness of the earth and of life, of a different concept of science in a way of what we learn. So like Living Earth, something like that. Because I think we need a word that we can tell about, oh, I was to this, what is it that we have been to? We need some kind of a name for the baby who was born here. It's a beautiful child, eh? Thank you everybody for assisting in the labor.
I would like to begin with apologies. I have been a little harsh facilitator, by keeping time and focus. So if I have not responded to your hands raised, I have not given you any opportunity to speak, this is my fault. Please forgive me. I apologize. Also, I apologize, Carlos, by stopping you, but I wanted to keep the focus of the discussion on 4 reports. So I apologize, and I'm sorry. But at the same time, I would also like to say that you have given me, the group and all of you, a foreigner coming from outside, to be your facilitator and become a Mallorcan. So I thank you, and I express my deep gratitude to you for accepting me to be the facilitator and the chairman of this session for these 2 days. So I'm grateful to you, and thank you for that. Great rivers begin with a small spring. So please do not underestimate the value and the importance of a small group of people coming together with a big vision and a big idea and a big dream. So tributaries will meet, many, many more people will join, but always great movements begin with small spring, small group of individuals coming together with big idea and big vision. So please do not underestimate the importance and the power and the strength of this group's vision and the work we have done in these 2 days. And we have sown many seeds. And now our work is not to forget that we have sown these seeds. We have to water them. Keep watering by communication, by staying in touch, by reading, by educational projects, by reading Resurgence, by coming to Schumacher College, by going to Bija, which Vandana runs, educational center in India. So there are many, many ways you can water the seeds which we have sown here. So please remember to water these seeds which we have sown here today. And at the end, I would only say thank you for being so active, animated participants in this group. Thank you all our panelists, our visionaries with common sense and common wisdom that you brought to us. And thank you, Guillaume, for offering your home and hospitality, this beautiful home, this beautiful place.